morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we've got a bit of an update based on that theft I told you about the other day from Fusion Strike. Now, I will link that video in the description, but the short version basically is that somebody, or at least so goes the story, somebody went and took a whole bunch of the hits, so to speak, from Fusion Strike, tried to sell them to a shop, and the shop did put a big statement out over on Facebook basically explaining, look, yes, they got in touch with us, but the shop is a nice shop, the kind of shop we want to be supporting and showing some love to, because they immediately turned around and went and told Pokemon so that Pokemon could pick up the cards and investigate. Now, when I told you this story the other day, I think it's fair to say there was a large amount of skepticism. There were a lot of people out there that basically didn't believe what I was telling you, but we do have an update here. We have an official statement from the Pokemon Company. This was shared by the lovely folks over at GoNintendo.com, though I believe it actually originated from comicbook.com. So, essentially, Pokemon have come out and said this: we take the protection of our IP, intellectual property, and associated products very seriously. This matter remains under investigation and we cannot comment on details at this time. However, we can confirm that Sword and Shield booster packs and products were shipped to retail as intended, and we have no indication that the integrity of the products were impacted by any confirmed or unconfirmed theft. Furthermore, we continue to significantly invest in both the production and security of our TCG business. We value the faith our fans put in us and our products, and these investments are intended to help us continue to maintain their trust. Now, what Pokemon are basically saying here is, yeah, whatever may or may not have happened, it didn't actually affect what got to shops. What got to stores was what was supposed to get to stores, and they're not going to sit and give us a big explanation about what did or didn't happen about this theft or whatever. But what they're saying there is a very clear statement. What we intended to ship to retailers is what got shipped to retailers, and that basically means in terms of pull rates, etc. To put it another way, they are saying that there's nothing that was shipped to stores with a significantly reduced pull rate or with all of the hits taken out. And as I explained in a video the other day, this is obvious. And anybody that understands business will know that this had to be the case. There is absolutely no way whatsoever that Pokemon would take the risk of sending this set out with a significantly reduced hit rate. There is absolutely no way that would happen. I mean, as a nice example, right? Here is an image that comes from our good friend, the lovely Primal Lugia, over on Twitter. They opened up a box of Evolving Skies, an entire booster box of Evolving Skies. And they pulled 4 Pokemon V and 2 Pokemon V Max. That was it. That was what they got in terms of better than holos from an entire booster box of Evolving Skies. And yeah, that's incredibly unlucky, don't get me wrong, but this happens. I never, and you can go back and check the tape if you want, I never pulled a Pokemon V-Star from a main set. I did from Pokemon Go, but from a main set, I never pulled a Pokemon V-Star. And I opened a couple of 100 packs on this channel from sets that had V-Stars in, and I could not, for the life of me, open a Pokemon V-Star. Because pulls aren't guaranteed. I pulled a bunch of good stuff. Now, I will say, since we made the flick to Scarlet and Violet, my pulls have been way better, and I am absolutely delighted. But there was a long time where my pulls were terrible, and it's not some kind of giant conspiracy or anything stupid like that. I got unlucky with my pulls. And I got unlucky with my pulls for a while. These things happen, ladies and gentlemen. These things happen. But then again, over at the EUIC, I opened 3 packs Pokemon gave me for an Instagram thing that they were doing, and I went and pulled the special illustration rare of Great Tusk. One of the coolest cards in the set. Because you know what? Pull rates aren't guaranteed, and you can get lucky, and you can get unlucky. Now, I do need to make it very, very clear that yes, I have done commentary, etc. for Pokemon, but no, I am not an employee of the Pokemon Company, and the views I express in this video and every video I ever make are 100% my own and represent myself and nobody else. But as well as covering card games for a living now, I also taught business for 13 years. And I can tell you that there is absolutely no way Pokemon would ever go, oh, somebody stole all the hits from Fusion Strike. Ah, well, send them all out. Let's hope nobody notices. Because there are two very, 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 very important points that people keep missing. Because after my video the other day, I got a lot of comments from people telling me, no, I don't believe you, I think Pokemon screwed up the hit rates. And there are two reasons why that's just definitely not true. Number one, the Pokémon TCG is the biggest TCG in the world, and it's actually not even close. The lovely folks over at ICV2 go and do their list of the top TCGs, and Pokemon's number one, and Pokemon is always number one. And I'm gonna, spoil it for you for a little bit. Pokemon is going to remain number one for a while yet, because it is huge. It is the number one by a mile. Pokemon make a huge amount of money from the Pokemon trading card game. It is something that is one of their big earners. They would not compromise that. Because if the story got out that they were basically allowing sets to go out with terrible hit rates because someone had nicked all the hits, the PR hit wouldn't be worth it. The potential profits they could make from just sending the set out anyway is not worth the hit they would take from people finding out that they deliberately sent it out like that. There is no way they would risk it. The other thing, which I don't think people realize about Pokemon very much, is that Pokemon have Pokemon. If you look at somebody like Marvel, for instance, Marvel have many different IPs. One of my favorite business stories of the past few years is that when Fox made the Fantastic Four movie, what Marvel actually did was just stop printing Fantastic Four comics to try and depress interest in the movie. And the rumor is they did this because they essentially wanted the movie rights back that they had previously sold to Fox. How true that is, I don't know, but I can tell you that they did stop making Fantastic Four comics around about the time that movie came out. And it was honestly kind of funny. Pokemon have Pokemon. That is the one brand that they have. They have Pokemon. And when you put those two together, there is absolutely no way that any business would do this. They just wouldn't take that risk. But I can also prove it, if you like, by going and having a look at the prices over on TCG Player. Because there are certain cards, as I showed you the other day, we're talking about the big three, your Mew, your Gengar, and your Espeon, that yes, admittedly, the price of those cards is very, very high. But then, by the exact same token, if there was a huge problem that all of these cards were being artificially made rarer, then all of them would see a gigantic uptick in price. So if all of these cards were artificially rare and all of them had massively reduced pull rates, explain to me why the Espeon is a $130 card, but the Inteleon is a $30 card. If all of these were having the hit rate vastly reduced because of a theft, how come the Inteleon alternate art is only $30? Okay, fine, it's Inteleon, it's not as popular as the others, blah, 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 blah. But the fact of the matter was, if this was an alternate art VMAX, which has a low hit rate to begin with, and this was artificially being made much rarer because someone had nicked them all, how is it only a $30 card? That doesn't make any sense. All of these cards, if it was a problem that all of the hits were taken out, and the set was being sent out without all of these hits, the price of all of them would be jumping up to ridiculous levels. Another card we saw in the image the other day was the Rainbow Rare of Sydney. It's here. It's right there in the picture. So that should be a card where the price is absolutely skyrocketing because it's not in the set as much as it should be. It is a $4 card. So if it was genuinely the case that all of these hits were stolen and Pokemon sent them out of a vastly reduced hit rate, how is that true and yet Sydney is only a $4 card? Want another example? Dancer. It's in the picture. It is in the picture we've all seen where somebody, took all of these hits, blah, blah, blah. So in theory, Dancer should have a much reduced hit rate and Dancer should be a very expensive card. $3.71 is the market price. There is a listing on TCG Player for $2.39. So if you're asking me to believe that Pokemon actually just went, oh no, someone's taken all the hits, let's send it out anyway, no one will notice, I would like an explanation for why Dancer got taken out and ended up being artificially much rarer than it should be and is a $2.39 card. Because that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So yes, we've had a statement from Pokemon coming out and saying, yeah, what we intended to send to stores is what was sent out, nothing was untoward. But honestly, there is so much evidence that there was nothing suspicious with the Fusion Strike pull rates. If you want, you can go from the very obvious, this makes them too much money, it is not worth the risk, and that should be proof enough. But if that's not proof enough, look at the prices of the cards. There are some cards from Fusion Strike that got to silly amounts. And they are alternate art VMAXs of very popular Pokemon, Gengar, Espeon and Mew, which have ballooned in price, but they're alternate art VMAXs that have very low pull rates to begin with of popular Pokemon. They were always going to get to silly prices. If it was a problem with pull rates as a whole, then all of these cards would end up being much rarer than intended and the price would be spiking. But if you look at cards like Rainbow Rare Sydney and Rainbow Rare Dancer and how ridiculously cheap they are, that is proof. The numbers and the data is there. There is absolutely no way that these cards are artificially rarer and yet still ridiculously cheap, because we've all seen it, ladies and gentlemen. As soon as there is any proof that a card is a little bit rarer or harder to get hold of, people buy them out and the price spikes. That hasn't happened. That should be all the proof you need. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's that. This is probably the last time we're going to talk about this because I'm not sure there's too much more to say. But we have had a statement from Pokemon, and hopefully I've explained quite nicely how there is absolutely no way whatsoever that this actually affected the hit rates of Fusion Strike. But now I want to hear from you guys. Are you buying it? Do you believe it? What were your hits from Fusion Strike like? Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, all kinds of fun things. Oh, and get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Tobias DePrato, who's been a supporter of ours for a while and is a very lovely person. So shout-out to them for the support and for being a very lovely person. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.